Some guys really like Batman, and they had an epiphany. So they all got to work on the next Batman movie. And now they are the heroes, and you get to follow along. They're bringing him to life every week after this song. Batman, Project Batman, Project Batman. Fuck yeah.
So
we're just gonna begin?
I guess so.
Oh, okay.
Did you perchance look at any of those Hulk articles?
I haven't yet.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this guy, Film Crit Hulk, he's like this writer who he works in the film industry. He writes really, really long essays, and they're all really well thought out, and they're usually about art and film. But it's all under the guise of the Hulk. Like he has a secret identity, so all of his essays are all caps locked and stuff. So instead of saying I, he says Hulk and stuff like that. So it really seems like you're reading an essay by the Hulk, but it's very, very intelligent. Anyway, he wrote this 35,000 word book online called Screenwriting 101. And I read it once, and I went through it again last night and cherry-picked all of the major points he makes, and we can start to go over that if you want.
Okay.
Or we can talk about Batman and stuff.
Well, I think one thing that I did want to cover, and this came up in our previous episode, I came up with some bad news. Well, actually, Sean found it. He was doing some research because he was trying to get some ideas. As it turns out, the Batman Beyond suit cannot play a role in our film.
Why?
Bruce Wayne didn't design it until 2019. But I can't... I was thinking, because I've had a couple of days to think about this, and... Here's the information I have. In 2019, Bruce Wayne starts designing a new suit to catch up with, to help him, because one, he's having heart problems, and two, an old leg injury. Now, Sean actually plans on putting the leg injury mentioned there in this movie. The scene where he gets shot at the beginning, he gets shot in the leg. It's actually reflected in Sean's storyboards. But instead, he designed that new suit in 2019.
According to what?
According to the DCAU wiki, which is, as far as I know, the only actual repertoire of DCAU information at all.
What's it cited from?
So it, generally speaking, cited from interviews, commentaries, stuff like that. But, I mean, really the only way that we can get 100% zeroed in on everything is to go through and watch everything and take notes. But for the moment, at least, we can... it is a wiki. So there... but for the most part, it seems to be pretty reliable. But anyways, what I was saying is that, okay, say he did design the suit in 2019. What's to say that he didn't make upgrades to his current suit? I'm thinking maybe he finally figures out the cloaking device and the jet boots.
Right.
Something of that gauge that'll actually...
we can just see him start to evolve the Batsuit.
Right, as opposed to completely redo it. And we can still, because what really hit me hard about that was that we couldn't include that scene where he jumps in the new suit for the first time. I mean, that's like a really big scene.
Right.
But I'm thinking, if we show him actually upgrading the current suit, then we can at least still have that scene there, which is important, I think.
Yes. So, our whole ending, like the whole climax, that we want the climax to be that the fabled near apocalypse of '09.
Yes.
Like, with Ra's as the primary villain.
Correct.
In the Batman Beyond episode I watched today, Terry calls him Roz, and Talia's like, people get that wrong. It's Ra's, but it's not Talia. It's Ra's, cloaked as Talia, which is crazy.
And and the events directly leading up to the events in that are going to be discussed in this.
Right.
It was like, I gave you an idea of how the movie was going to end, and you wrote it down. But for those of you listening, we're about to explain what happens at the end of the movie. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
dude, anyone listening to this is going to have to get used to what's going to be in the final outcome. I mean, that's what the whole thing is all about, finding out what's going to be in the end. So, but also, you guys might hear a lot of ideas that really suck or sound definite at the time and won't make it in the final product. But that's what this is all about. It's about,
you get to watch the whole process of it being made.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that would end up a deleted scene on a DVD, you're gonna listen to us, right?
Yeah. And we're not gonna, if something sounds shitty or you don't like something or where we're at, it's because it's not done yet. We're not going to leave that stupid thing in the final product. We're not going to print out that final script until we feel like it's A+.
And feedback is appreciated.
Yes, always. You can email us at
weareprojectbatman@gmail.com.
But, so, well, I came up with kind of a scenario for the final bit of it, is that there is a final actual pitched combat between Batman and Ra's al Ghul. And at the end of this, I told you that the basic thing that he's done is he's figured out how to reverse engineer the stuff in the Lazarus Pit and weaponize it to where it violently ages people to death. And they just die. And it's bad. And they don't like it. Well, what happens is that Batman finally manages to get the upper hand over Ra's and hits Ra's with his own reverse-engineered Lazarus Pit serum stuff. Now, it doesn't kill him because he spent so much time in the Lazarus Pits that it's sorted that the stuff has difficulty killing him. But he can't fix it. Basically, in the conversation, it goes something like this. He's like, because now the Lazarus Pit, as a result of Ra's being hit with a serum, will also get canceled out because the serum's in his bloodstream now, so he is effectively just like, I wouldn't say normal because he's still pretty much dying, because now the guy's like his natural age, which is like 600 years old.
Right.
And so but then Ra's al Ghul says to Batman, he's like, this is impossible. You don't kill people. And I'm trying to write this scene to where it doesn't mirror the end of Batman Begins. And he's like, I didn't kill you. I just stopped your ability to stave off death. Yeah.
There's an awesome moment in that episode of Batman Beyond where when the wherever Ra's is hiding out, it blows up as Terry and Bruce are escaping, and they look back at the place in flames, and Terry's like, I've got to go back in. Maybe I can save him. And Bruce stops him. He puts his hand on his shoulder, and he's like, whatever's in
there died a long time ago.
Yeah, I thought that was great. It's like, he's not really breaking his own rule. He sort of is, but I can empathize, sympathize,
Yeah.
empathize with it.
But yeah, he's like, but yeah, Batman's like, well, the your own serum's being staved off by your years of relying on the Lazarus Pit, but it will catch up with you. I made a vow never to take a life. Old age hasn't done the same.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, he's visibly, like, aging still, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not enough to instantly kill him, but he is dying. And then what happens is that, you know, Batman turns to leave, and, you know, Talia turns to go with him, but then Talia stops Bruce, and she's like, wait, I have to help him. I have to see what I can do. And I haven't quite gotten this part of the conversation through my head yet, but basically Bruce reluctantly agrees, but then he leaves without her. And it's not like an amicable thing. He's just like, fine, do what you want to. And then Talia is like, maybe we can get you in the Lazarus Pit, maybe it'll save you. And Ra's is like, it won't do any good. I need you to take me to the antechamber. In there is a machine, and I need you to give me your body. And that's how he gets in. That's how he transfers his mind to her body, so that he doesn't die. And then that's, you know, a bunch of years later. That's when Out of the Past happens. But I think that'd be a cool way to at least end that thing.
Yeah.
There was another idea that I had. I started coming up with the ideas for the trailer in my head. That's in the early days of this. That's something we're gonna put a bit of focus on, just because, you know, we want to have something concrete there while we're working on the rest of the stuff, just to say, you know, just to get people excited. And I was like, holy crap, DCAU's coming back. I want to see this. And so it starts out, you know, with some music, and you see the film company's logo, and it starts out with a flashback from a scene either from Out of the Past or from Epilogue, where Terry McGinnis brings up the near apocalypse of 2009. Yeah, or like in Epilogue, he's like, my father was a hardworking man who loved his kids. My father wasn't the one who saved the world from the near apocalypse of 2009. You know, something where that's mentioned. And then, you know, a news report comes on the screen, and it's like, millions dead in, you know, France and China and Africa, in what some are referring to as the beginning of the apocalypse. And then I get it would show some small dialogue scene with Ra's, and he'll mention Batman, and like let's see what the detective will do to.
I love that he always calls him the detective or detective, and I love that he doesn't care about taking off his mask. Just saying.
But he's like, see how long it takes our dear detective to mess things up or something. I'd have to watch. I need to relearn how he talks.
Yeah, we're gonna make all the dialogue perfect and characteristic and all that stuff. You're just getting across the idea right now,
right? But then and then it cuts to Batman, and he's talking to Alfred. He's like, getting slower, Alfred. I think my suit needs some upgrades. And then, you know, it shows like quick flashes of him putting on parts of a new suit, and an almost Batman and Robin, but not quite as nipply flash cut real quick. And then it shows him fighting the lasers really quick. I mean, this whole scene would be really quick. Shows him fighting those lasers, and the scene comes over its, you know, record time. Ra's al Ghul will be saying, while he'll be voicing voicing over this part, he'll be like,
Describing his plan or whatever.
And be like, the detective isn't. The detective's a lot older than he once was. He doesn't have the advantage that I do. This will be interesting. And then it shows, some fighting and maybe just general trailer stuff. Some fighting and some explosions, and then I guess he kisses Talia.
Some quick shots of some other bad guys we'll use on the side or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then I really want to work in a scene where he has a hallucination involving the Joker, because that's another thing I found in the research. The events of Return of the Joker happened like 2 years before this.
Okay.
If even that. So it's really fresh in his mind.
So no Robin.
Right. No, I mean, at this point, Batman. There's no Robin. There's no Batgirl. Batman's left the Justice League. It was because of that event. It was because of those events that he severed his ties with the Justice League as well.
Because of the events in that flashback in Return of the Joker?
Mm-hmm. I forget exactly why.
I watched Return of the Joker, by the way, which I had not seen last time we talked, and it is like the best. It is so layered. Like, it is just every single scene you are just peeling back another layer of that movie before getting to like the crazy ending, and it's incredible. It's probably my favorite Batman movie. Like that or The Dark Knight. Both of those are just up there.
It's actually referenced on the DCAU wiki that a lot of people consider Return of the Joker to be the apotheosis of the entire DC animated universe.
Does that mean the greatest thing it's done?
It means next to God.
Oh, yeah.
It means, achieving the state of a deity. But let me finish off my trailer thing real quick. You got those quick action scenes, and then at the end of it, I don't know exactly. There'll have to be some witty line, or I was thinking something like, Alfred's talking to him and is like, "You'll have to kill him to stop him," and Batman's like, "No, I just have to make him wish he was dead."
Nice.
and then you see and he uses his brand new jet boots and flies in front of the moon with his cape, to do that whole bat symbol thing, and then you see him fly from that position towards the camera and land a punch from flight, and that's where the title will show up.
Yeah.
Which I do have a working title for the film. The working title, which will probably not be the final title because I'm not sure on it, but the working title will be Batman Cataclysm.
I love it.
I mean, I think we could improve on it, but at least as far as a working title goes, we can work with that.
Definitely. So there's one. I'm going to skip some steps before we get hardcore into script writing. But when he links to this other woman's method of writing called the snowflake method. And the snowflake method is basically where you start off with something very simple, and with each growing step out of it, you expand upon it. And step one is you take an hour. Okay, step one, take an hour and write a one-sentence summary of your screenplay. Something like this. A rogue physicist travels back in time to kill the Apostle Paul. The sentence will serve you forever as a 10-second selling tool. This is the big picture. So that's step one. And step 10 is having a completed screenplay. So I'm not saying we're going to go through all these steps right now or anything. I'm just saying, since you have like, I feel like our positions here are one of like, if you were to compare it to the studio system, you would be the executive producer on this project. Mm-hmm. You're the one with the big ideas, and you get the selling points, and you understand why this is going to be cool. And
I thought the producers were the ones who funded the thing, and the directors were the ones who came up with the ideas. I don't know. It's always a really thin line.
It is. It's very. You can put a bunch of people into a bunch of different places, but the title executive producer, like sole executive producer, the one right before written by, produced by, directed by, those are usually the people that are in charge of how things get done and delegating power and overseeing the big idea altogether.
Can we pick our own titles? Because I want to be omnipotent. I want to be omnipotent battle leader.
Okay. I'm still going to be the screenwriter or co-writer, whatever. But since you, what's your one sentence? What's your big picture sentence that you would use for this story?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll give you. I think I gave a half-assed example of that last show. But what I'm going to do is I'll give you the one here, and the next episode I'll make sure that I have, like, I've thought on this for an hour and give you a final draft.
A refined one, yeah.
Yeah. But in one sentence, what is this movie going to be? And after this, I have a really fun idea that I wanted to bring up to you, and I can't believe I forgot about it because I had it before the last podcast.
Okay.
And it's great. You'd love it.
You can go into it now if you want. We'll get back to this.
Okay. All right. I'm guessing at some point there's going to be a scene with a couple of criminals talking, or there'd be a background criminal or something.
Oh my god, I just remembered something. You'll remember what you were saying.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. You remember in Return of the Joker? I watched that yesterday with my friend Brooks, who's seen it a dozen times, and I had never seen it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the amazing flashback sequence and that fucking gasp of a moment that is Barbara dropping Harley Quinn into the crevice, into the abyss, and then it gets to the end, and you see those two twins, and the grandma's getting them out of lockup or whatever, and they say, "Nah, Harley," and like he'd seen this movie so many times and he never caught that, and it was so awesome, like, to see him go like, "What? She survived! I'm so excited!"
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But, okay, my idea, and it'd have to be really subtle. Mm-hmm. But it's because subtle things are always the best, because when you catch subtle things, that's when you get real clever.
Not in your face, like, "You should use your real name, Robin." Sorry. But, okay. At some point, there will probably be a scene where there's a couple of background criminals or something having a conversation. Maybe Batman's busting in on let's call it a drug thing. Mm-hmm. Now, this is set in the year 2009. One of the criminals, shaved head, sunglasses, facial hair, black pork pie hat. One of the criminals is Heisenberg trying to set up operations in Gotham City. That's funny.
I mean, he wouldn't have any lines. He wouldn't even get focused on.
Right.
It would just be like a little background thing. Holy crap, is that Heisenberg?
Now, I'm going to burst your bubble. Because I know you're obsessed with continuity and timelines. And everything we've seen in Breaking Bad so far has only been the course of 1 year, starting in 2006.
True, but I mean, of course, we'd have to.
But we can still do it.
It's like, we're trying. It's not like we're trying to pull the Breaking Bad continuity definitively into
bring their universes together.
But I thought it'd be a neat little Easter egg. And who knows? Maybe he becomes the kingpin of all meth operations in the entire United States at the end of the series. We don't know. Maybe feasibly he could be setting up in Gotham City in 2009. We don't know.
You're right.
So,
but I'm calling that Walt's dead by the end of the series.
I'm thinking he had that big machine gun at that little flash forward at the. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of season 5. So either he's going to be incredibly dead, or he's going to be invincible. He's going to be one of those two.
He's going to be as invincible as long as life will possibly allow him. Much like our villain, Ra's al Ghul.
There you go. That's it. Ra's al Ghul is Heisenberg. That's what he's doing. Screw the Lazarus Pits. He's trying to sell meth to the entire world.
Lazarus Pits, by the way, are a fucking awesome set piece for like a battle. I love that they're all over the world. Like at first, like that first scene I saw, like, and then the cave crumbles, and I'm like, well, how are we gonna get back here? But then he reveals that they're like all over the world.
I haven't watched The Demon's Quest yet recently, but from what I remember of the synopsis, he tries to simultaneously blow them all up somehow to kill everybody.
Yeah.
I'm guessing through this he decides he doesn't want to blow up the Lazarus Pits. He can just take the stuff out of the Lazarus Pit and kill people with that.
But, okay, so we're using the Lazarus Pits in this, though, right?
Right. I mean, we have to. It's Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. Wonder why they went with Roz in that movie, if it's always been pronounced Raish.
You want my my personal opinion on that? Either nobody knew or nobody cared.
Somebody had to have known.
I mean, I don't know. Hey, Brooks didn't catch that it was Harley at the end of Return of the Joker.
That's true.
You know.
Okay. One sentence.
One sentence. So I'll use the working title for the first time officially in referring to the movie. Batman Cataclysm is... Let's see.
A rogue physicist travels back in time to kill the Apostle Paul. Aim for 12 words.
Aim for 12 words.
And you get a free one because you don't have to say a rogue physicist in 3 words. You can just say Batman. That's 1 word.
Oh wait, so the sentence doesn't have to have the title in it. I'm just
right.
Okay. So, what is Batman Cataclysm in 10 words?
As he ages, facing old age.
No, this is a plot summary, not just like this is what this film is, but like like the sentence pertaining to the general plot of the film.
The big picture. A 1-sentence summary of the screenplay. An aging Batman.
An aging Batman pushes himself to the limits to... This isn't going to be 12 words.
We'll refine it.
Yeah. An aging Batman pushes himself to the limit to save the world from something to do with Ra's al Ghul and the apocalypse of 09.
Yeah.
As stated, this process is supposed to take an hour, right?
Yeah, the end of the sentence would be like facing Ra's al Ghul in apocalyptic.
An aging Batman faces Ra's al Ghul for the final time in the near apocalypse of 09.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it is. So
yeah.
That's what we're trying to get is the basic thing. So
that works. Alright, so we have that.
Yeah, we can... Like I said, I'll have to read some of this stuff and actually just sit down and come up with things. But I had some neat ideas. I had another idea for a cool scene, and I forgot what it was. It wasn't like a...
You're not gonna like one of Hulk's rules.
What's that?
One of his rules is,
Don't.
If you ever start any sentence with "wouldn't it be cool if," don't do it. Just don't. Just tell your fucking story, is how he words it. He's just saying, if something works for your movie, then it's cool. But it has to work for the story.
Right.
His whole argument is like, that's why giant movies are like 2 hours and 40 minutes long, because they started with some producer just being like, okay, and it's going to end in a giant battle in space or something like that. And then a writer has to figure out a story with theme and write up to and around all of those big set pieces that the people who don't even think about how a story works come up with.
Right, and see, with this, like, the scenes that I do have are all actually relevant to what plot I have at this point.
I know. I was
So,
just
but
giving
I
you
mean
shit.
that is a good thing to bring up. It's like, it's one of the reasons why I didn't want to have, like, I didn't want to have a bunch of different stuff happening at the same time. We have to narrow it down to just a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually probably good that the Beyond suit can't make an appearance, because that'd be one thing that it would be really cool to see, but it wouldn't make sense in the established story.
Mm-hmm.
But we can definitely see him upgrade his suit, because he does need to combat, the fact that he is. I mean, the guy's still, he's not like ancient yet, but he's mid-40s at this point.
Mm-hmm. Spell something out for me. What's Catwoman about? Not the movie. What's she? Like, I know who Catwoman is. She's a jewel thief.
Mm-hmm.
She hangs out in Gotham. She's just a thief in Gotham, and sometimes she helps Bruce, but she's sort of a bad guy.
Well, yeah, the thing is that she likes Bruce, and she also likes Batman.
Does she know Batman's
No.
Bruce? Okay.
I believe she does find out at one point or another in the DC animated universe. I think it's actually mentioned by Terry McGinnis that something or other happened, but her relationship with Bruce can't happen because she's always in jail or in legal trouble for the most recent thing that she did, because everybody knows that she's Catwoman.
Selena Kyle?
Yeah.
Everyone knows Selena Kyle's Catwoman?
Yeah.
Oh.
She was...
So she's not like Bruce, like she can't evade the police all the time.
Right.
See, I thought she was.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was mentioned in her first episode, I think.
And I'm skipping all around, so yeah.
But then, so she can't have a relationship with Bruce, and for similar reasons, Catwoman can't have a relationship with Batman because Batman's out there fighting crime, and she's out there making the crime for him to fight. So,
But doesn't she, like, help him?
occasionally she does, because she's a thief, but she's not like... I mean, she still has, other than stealing stuff, she still has firm moral standing on a lot of things, like, especially when it comes to, like, animals or whatever, There was one where she actually, I forget what episode it was, I forget what the name of the episode was, but she ended up actually in the newspaper hailed as a hero with Batman for that they uncovered some scheme that Daggett Industries was pulling, kidnapping animals and testing stuff on them. One of their Daggett chemicals that turns people into Clayface or something.
And Batman likes her.
Right, but
he doesn't like Catwoman.
Exactly. But I mean, he likes Selena. He doesn't like her alter ego. So that's about what Catwoman's about.
Okay.
It's this weird, like, square... The term is generally a love triangle, but in this case, it's a love square.
With two people.
Yeah. And they're all just like, these people are all crazy.
Interesting.
But it's...
Who would...
Mm-hmm.
Who would Ra's employ against Batman, as far as other villains go? And we can't use the Scarecrow.
Well... The thing is, I didn't want to include really many other villains besides Ra's al Ghul. Because, I mean, I've noticed that a lot of Batman movies tend to, let's take these two bad guys and make them here.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to have another main villain like that, but I'm trying to think of just in terms of, like, we have a whole universe to play with, and I'm sure we could come up with some ways that somebody could serve at least one plot point. You know, like, Over the Edge, the villain is Scarecrow, technically, even though he's not in it that much, and it's a story about Commissioner Gordon and Batman and Barbara, but Bane plays a big enough story part in that 20-minute episode, even though he's only there for like 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I'm just think there has to be fun ways we can include some people to serve some moment.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know at this point that I don't know who to add, but I know I can rule out a couple of people.
Okay.
Clayface is definitively dead. He died on screen in Justice League.
When does Justice League happen in relation to the animated series? Like, that's not happening while he's in the animated series, is it?
No. That's like chronologically mid to late 2000s.
Okay.
And then sometime 2007, 2008-ish is the flashback or Return of the Joker, and then 2009 is this. I know Clayface is dead, which sucks. I really like Clayface. We can't use Mr. Freeze either.
Right. Heart of Ice, man. Heartbreaking.
Really is. What about one of my favorite villains, and a lot of people don't care for him, and he didn't get a lot of exposure in the DC animated universe, but I like him. The Clock King. Did you ever see any of the episodes with him?
No.
Watch. I forget what the names of the episodes are. Just look up.
Yeah.
Just look it up. But all right, this is. I mean, he's an elderly gentleman. 50s, 60s. That basically his thing is he is incredibly punctual. His story is he owns a company that is facing a very severe lawsuit that will cost him not only his company but his home, everything he has to his name, because somebody sued him. So he gets on a train and he's like, okay, he does everything down to the second. And one of the people on the train with him that day is the mayor of Gotham. And, the mayor notices, you look kind of twitchy and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I've got this huge schedule. I've got to be at court at 3:15, and I've got all this stuff to do between now and then. And it's like, here's your problem, dude. You've got this schedule. Instead of taking your coffee break at your office, go sit out in the park for a couple of minutes. Just change a bit. And he's like, okay. And I mean, he sat there. I mean, he had papers that would have actually acquitted him in the lawsuit and would have won him the case. He goes to the park, gets there, and the wind kicks up, blows his papers into the fountain at the park. He shows up to court 15 minutes late after the trial has started without any of his acquitting papers, and it turns out because of what the mayor said, hey, relax for a bit, he was tried in his absence and found guilty.
Shit.
So 7 years pass. And he becomes this clock-themed villain. Basically, he just looks like a gentleman, just like normal, except there's little clock hands on his glasses, and his cane is the hand off of the big clock. But that's it. Nothing too extravagant. And, he has some plan to kill the mayor for ruining his life. And Now, this guy is really old. Or not really old, but he's not in peak physical condition like Batman is. And he can take Batman on in a fight by the sheer virtue of he's watched Batman fight in news footage, and he knows exactly how long it takes Batman to throw a punch.
Damn.
And can act accordingly.
That's nuts.
I mean, you're just like... My friend Piper, she hates him. She thinks, oh, he's the lamest villain ever. But I'm sorry. If you can take on someone in a fight just because you know that it takes them a 20th of a second to throw a punch, and you can just get out of the way predicting that...
Yeah.
That's badass. I'm sorry, but... I mean, he only appeared in 2 episodes of the Batman animated series, and then he was in an episode of Justice League. He led an operation for Project Cadmus because of his organizational skills. But, so he was active at that time. But yeah, and then in the other episode he was in, he ends up acquiring this technology which allows him to basically freeze time around him and do whatever he wants.
Damn.
And it, like, the technology actually does end up getting destroyed, but I'm sure he could always make more. But yeah, he's sitting there like blowing stuff up, and you know, one of the things he did was he stopped time around the he hooked one of the devices to the Batmobile and stopped the Batmobile in time and had time sped up around it. So, you know, Batman and Robin were out of commission for like 3 days as a result of what was to them like 15 seconds, just because he stuck this thing to the Batmobile.
That's really interesting.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's a really cool villain.
Yeah.
The thing was that, you know, he was one of those Silver Age guys that you'd think of him making an appearance on the Adam West Batman show. They had him as kind of campy, you know, sort of like Polka Dot Man, or one of those guys. But, you know, as with everything else that writing team seems to get their hands on, they just take what seems to be a silly story and then make it just like the craziest thing ever.
Right, like Freeze.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect example there. And so but I'm thinking, I kind of want the Clock King to have a role in this.
I mean, I'm sure Raish could use somebody who's all about punctuality.
Yeah, and you know,
that'd be awesome.
I forget whether or not that little time belt thing he had allowed him to, you know, throw like speed of light punches at things. I forget. It'd be cool if he did.
I'll watch the episodes.
Yeah, find out which ones they were and watch those, because like I said, it's just the 2 episodes, and then he's in 1 episode of Justice League Unlimited for like 17 seconds or something.
Yeah, I'll report back.
Yeah, but yeah, look into that.
Okay.
Of course, can't use the Joker or Harley Quinn. 1, they're in everything. 2, they.
We gotta have a flashback with the Joker. Just some moment.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be something, because he is, you know, that is still fresh in his mind.
And Harley's not dead.
But, like, she's out of the picture anyway.
Oh, yeah, I guess that was the point of that scene in Return of the Joker. It's like, that's when Joker dies. So she dips out of that life.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
It sucks. I thought for a second that you could use the Mad Hatter just because of his, the fact that he can do that mind control can be pretty crazy. Especially in, like, Arkham City, it gets just nuts. When they redesigned him for the new Batman Adventures, though, the redesign was, it was god-awful.
What's Mad Hatter's shtick? Because I haven't gotten to that episode.
Basically, he's personified himself as the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I saw him in a clip when, in Out of the Past, he was begging for Bruce Wayne's money.
and his thing is that he's got these, they're pretty much playing cards, and he's sticking with somebody, and he can completely control their brain because he's a scientist at Wayne Technologies that is focusing on that sort of thing, I guess, as a side project. But the Mad Hatter's probably not very feasible.
Well, that sounds like a pretty cool ability that someone villainous would be interested in employing.
True. But
what about Riddler? I don't know how he could really serve this story anymore.
Right. The thing is that whoever Ra's al Ghul would be willing to hire would have to be absolutely ruthless. Someone who's out just for the money or whatever wouldn't work. It would have to be someone who wants to kill Batman.
Right. Doesn't he have, part of Ra's thing is he has, he hates most of humanity because they're, killing the planet or something, right? Something along those lines. They're, bad for the...
Maybe he could get along with Poison Ivy or
That's
something.
what I was going to say, is, she's, natural, part of, existence now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the direction I was going with that. But we'll figure it out.
And then, I remember what my idea for a scene was. Okay, this would be around the time, because I'm thinking that the flashback with the Joker scene, or it wouldn't really be a flashback, it would be sort of a... I came up with some neat stuff for it. Basically, Batman sitting there at the Bat computer looking through files of different villains that he's faced. He's looking through, it shows Clayface, deceased, Mr. Freeze, unknown, Joker, deceased. And then, while he's going through this, and he freezes on the Joker, and it sort of horrifies him, and he's like... And then the Joker sort of starts speaking to him through the computer screen. He's like... He says something like, "You keep dwelling on this, Brucey, and soon you'll be as crazy as me." Something like that.
Go ahead.
And then Bruce says out loud, he's like, "Man, I really must be going crazy if the Joker's the voice of reason in my head." But then he's sitting there doing all this, and suddenly, gunshots. Thousands of them. Ra's al Ghul has decided we need to take Batman out of the picture, and when he introduced himself to Batman, he did it in the Batcave.
Right.
He showed up there, so he knows where it is. He knows how to get into it, and he's just decides, why don't we just fucking send an army in there to kill him?
Uh-huh.
And so he's actually in the Batcave. And, they're shooting stuff and causing all sorts of a ruckus. He eventually escapes over that little cliff thing he's got there, mm-hmm. and manages to escape. But, I don't know how Alfred would figure into that scene, because he is also there at Wayne Manor, obviously.
Could have... When Bruce hears Joker's voice, he could be hearing some, I don't know, having some memory of the Joker saying something about how one day you're going to be too old for all this and something's going to get too big and then we're not going to be able to have fun anymore or something. And just to play on the theme of he's getting older and Joker's dead. Mm-hmm. And you're still doing this even after that point. And also it'd be awesome to have it not be just a voice, but have the hallucination show up and talk to him. It could be sort of like a walking around the Batcave thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking, maybe he sits there and he sees Joker's face on the computer screen, and then his face starts talking like it's a video, and then he he sort of jumps out of the computer screen and, you know, does this little cartwheel thing over Batman sitting in his chair and comes up behind him and he's like, yeah, what's up, buddy?
Or Batman could be like it's talking, Joker's talking on the screen and Batman doesn't want to hear it, so he's like, be quiet, and he turns off the screen and he like looks down for a second, he's like, ah, and then he just swivels his chair around and Joker's like, oh, come on, Bats, or something like that, and like the scene could play on from there.
There you go.
And that's when he says, now I know I'm going crazy if the Joker's my voice of reason. Something like that.
But I thought that was a good line.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. Really sucks about Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that was the darkest thing I've ever seen.
It really is.
It got super crazy. So what got cut from Return of the Joker?
I mean, you saw the uncut version, right?
Yes.
They cut out a lot of stuff. I mean, they ended up cutting, I think it was like a whole like 10 minutes out of that movie entirely.
Everything's so relevant, and it's only an hour and 16 minutes long as it is. That's so weird.
And they changed a lot of the dialogue. And for example, Joker didn't kill that henchman at the beginning, Bonk. Mm-hmm. He just sort of hit him with Joker gas, and it's implied that he died off screen or whatever.
Bonk is voiced by Henry Rollins, which I didn't notice till afterwards.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But then Joker doesn't actually get shot by Tim Drake. I forget exactly what he does, but Tim Drake ends up like throwing the gun away, and then Joker goes to hit him or something, and Tim Drake pushes him onto a cart and then shoves him over where there's a couple of electrical switches and stuff, and there's water on the ground, and he goes to get up and he accidentally reaches for an electrical switch and it kills him. And then the scene immediately after that, the gun's lying there on the ground or something.
Right.
And it's just like... and then there was a bunch of minor changes, like when Terry shows up at the Bat Cave and, you know, ha 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 is written everywhere. It was written in red, but in the cut version they changed it to being written in purple just to make it immediately apparent that it wasn't like Bruce Wayne's blood or whatever. But like, and I mean, there's a couple of minor dialogue changes. There's some very minor, not profanity, but would be considered profanity to like overprotective parents that they sort of cut out. Like they changed like the word putzes to yutzes or something.
I like that Terry figured out something against the Joker that Bruce never could.
Yeah.
Like Bruce doesn't have a sense of humor enough to even think about that, to engage the Joker in that way, and like to just psychologically go at him the way he goes at the rest of the world just makes so much sense.
Right.
That was awesome.
It really is a hell of a movie. And I want to shoot for something of that caliber.
Yeah, me too. After this recent first viewing of both of those movies, Phantasm and Return of the Joker, we can produce nothing less than that. Like that's too good. That's what I'm reaching for too. Mm-hmm. Well, we got like an hour. Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's mostly just us talking about neat stuff, but next time I will have my sentence as to what this is about, and then once I get that, we'll move on to step 2. Let's go with these steps and see.
Well, next time we'll go over all of these screenplay steps and hints, and we'll decide which ones stick and what to keep in mind and everything, and we'll think more on a structural level instead of big ideas. Mm-hmm. So
because we've got to get a framework put up before we can start moving the furniture in, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Good episode, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully Sean will be back next time.
Sean, this wasn't explained, but Sean couldn't make it today because he had to watch his daughter.
And yeah, I hate that I don't have a title to go out on, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll have that title figured out too, because
and you'll already know that, even though you're listening to us say it right now.
no, we're gonna release the title like a couple of episodes after the show's already into it, and it's just gonna be Untitled Podcast. It's just like, oh yeah, that's great. Let's listen to that.
This is really boring title, like Untitled Batman Project Podcast. Like what? All right, later, dudes.
Ew.
Swear to me.